everyone. I'm Sophie, Science Officer from Taipei Hub. On behalf of ARC's webinar organizing team, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. So this is the third webinar organized by ARC, Asia Regional Committee. And we're very happy to have Future Earth Mongolia as our speakers today. So right now, I would like to give the floor to our moderator today, Dr. SUVDANTSETSEG, please.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are very appreciated to organizing this webinar from the Future Earth Mongolian Committee. All of our committee members and the other interesting people and the young researchers are happy to participate in this webinar. And I'm today moderating this webinar from our side. And I'm Secretariat of the Future Earth Mongolian Committee. And my affiliation is actually working in the Mongolian Academy of Sciences. So then today we have two speakers. Firstly, I would like to introduce him, and Dr. BATTOGTOKH. So he is chair of the Mongolian Future Earth Committee, and also he is working in Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Economy and Development by Director of Department of Science and Technology, Integrated Policy Department. And I would like to a little bit introducing about him. He's got his PhD degree in R&D management from the Nankai University of Taipei. His research is more focusing on socioeconomic geography, science policy interface, science technology and innovation policy management, and strategic policies on R&D and industry sectors in Mongolia. Today he will be giving us his research and his lecture in title of Transdisciplinary Research Model is the Sustainable Development Model. Since 2021, he is working in science and technology policy field in Mongolian government, coordinating the science technology policy issues and the managements. So, floor is yours, please, Dr. BATTOGTOKH.
Thank you. Thank you, Sulta. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm sharing my PPT.
Yes, it's good.
Is it looks full screen now?
No, please put on. Okay, now it's full screen.
Okay,
Yes.
how many minutes I have to present?
You have 22 minutes.
20?
22 minutes.
32?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. 22. Okay, good afternoon, dear colleagues. And first of all, I would like to thank to the organizers, especially Future Earth Asian Committee and other organizations who are supporting this event today. So my presentation title is, as Sauda told I will be talking about transdisciplinary research model. So we think this model is a kind of sustainable model, especially in Mongolia. Now, before I start my presentation, I would like share some famous men's thought. As you know, 8 former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, he was imaging and talking about fashion. So he said, balance fashion and compassion. It takes both to be the global citizen. And also he told, when you realizing the global goals and vision of the world, you become the citizen of the world. It doesn't matter where you are from, if you are rich or poor, man or woman. I think this is very meaningful thought. And the current UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also highlighted some words. He said the era of global warming has ended. Now we are facing to the era of global boiling. So this is very serious sentence. And he added the data showed July 2023, last year, has already seen the hottest 3 weeks period ever recorded, and the 3 hottest days on record, and the highest ever ocean temperature for this time of year. So as he imagined that we already moved the global boiling era. So we have to understand those thoughts. And according to the Global Risk Report 2022, there's some special result which indicating the most heavy risk on global scale over the next 10 years. As you see now, climate-related are the top threats facing the world over 10 years period, and the societies, including government and business, face increasing pressure to towards the worst consequences. From this slide, you can see the most of risks relating for the environmental issues, and also there's social and economic and geopolitical issues. And from this slide, actually this result reported to the GRID 2022. In 2022, the disaster event accounted 387 natural hazards and disasters worldwide. So it resulting in the loss of more than 30,000 lives and affecting 185 million individuals. So this disaster impact equal like total around 223 billion US dollars. So from those 2 slides, you can see number of disaster impact increasing averagely, and also that we have to consider about the environmental impacts and issues for the future development. And I think after me, Dr. DASHTSEREN will be introduced about Mongolian situations, climate change, and also environmental changes in here in Mongolia. So you can, from this slide, you can see, you know, the number of disaster and also the average temperature for the warming increasing every country. But in Mongolia, it has eventually expressed significant climate changes with warming from almost 1 to 2.4 Celsius. And actually, our country made a national review for the SDG, how SDG implementing in Mongolia. So from this report, you can see several conclusions, like qualifying the financing and investment environment for the implementation of the SDG and using it as means to stimulate multi-stakeholder participation. So this year also we are sending a national report to the UN about the implementation of SDG goals. And so I just briefly introducing about the global changing, global warming, and also Mongolian situations relating for the climate change and environmental issues. So actually our country facing lot of difficult situation. So in this case, we are faced two main questions, I guess. The first question is, how can we overcome those natural disaster and difficult socio-economic situation? And the second question may affect, like, how can we develop an inclusive and knowledge-based economy in line with sustainable development goals? You know, Mongolia is the landlocked country. We have very few population, but we have a lot of livestock. Over 90 million livestock here. They are, you know, living very naturally. And also, as I introduced to you, the Mongolian climate change is very changeable. We have different landscapes, like we have forest area, we have steppe area, we have also Gobi and desertification areas. So we have very different landscapes in Mongolia. So from this perspective, we are facing, I guess, on these two questions. So according to the IPCC sixth assessment report, when we are scaling up climate actions, we must consider about 6 aspects, like environmental, technological, and geophysical, and social, institutional, and economic feasibility. So for scaling of climate action, whole system approach would be needed for the transformation that could limit warming to 1.5 degree This means that all relevant industries and stakeholders would need to be involved to increase the support and chance of successful implementation. So in international level, we are trying to limit global warming to the 1.5. So when we do these things, we must consider about those feasibility, those 6 feasibility. And another thing is there's I think that some Asian scientists and researchers introducing this model. So when it's like when we are doing the kind of research or industry activities, we must consider about those 3 things. So when we consider all 3 things like need, capability, and idea, we can reach opportunity, we can make opportunity, we can make value. So when you just consider about idea and capability, it may offering unnecessary products and services, or when you consider about idea and need, the ability to produce product and services insufficient, like this. So when you to do something, you must consider about those 3 things. This is the one basic argument for the our TDR model. So we proposing this TDR model. TDR means the transdisciplinary research model as a founders for the sustainable cluster. So we when we to do some development things in summer in Mongolia, we must consider those 6 systems, like manufacturing, environmental and management, research and development, and customer and demand, and also supporting. So as you see from this slide, you can see what economic or social sector including to the each subsystems. For example, research and development subsystems including universities, researchers, and institutes, also experimental and research centers. And customer and demand subsystem including citizens or local citizens and organization, local government. And there's also very important subsystem which must be included in each site. It's a management subsystem. Maybe we can call it science park or technology transfer center or incubation center, or maybe some hub system should be included to this system. So the core objectives of TDR model are multifaceted as follows. The firstly, strengthening environmental and social economic policies. So I mean that through when we developing TDR model, you can establish robust foundation for the environmental and socio-economic sustainability. And secondly, through to this model, we can build capacity and exchange information and technology. Thirdly, TDR is the sustainable financing and collaboration. So we are committed to forging sustainable financing mechanism and furthering collaborative approaches to bolster research focus and interdisciplinary ventures. This encompasses expanding our network of member institutes, future catalyzing the green innovation and entrepreneurship. So, you know, as I imagine about Mongolia, we have different natural zones and subzones, different landscapes. We have tundra, we have mountain tag, and we have mountain forest steppe, and also we have dry steppe area, steppe desert area. So, you know, each site, each areas or zones or landscapes environment is different. The income is different. Maybe industry is different. So when we using our TDR model, you can solve the problem which affect those sites, and using this TDR model, we may developing sustainably. So each site will be measuring those parameters. Actually, from this slide, you can see we have some existing research and experimental sites. For example, after me, Dr. DASHTSEREN, who is the director of the Institute of Geography and Geoecology. From under this slide, I'm showing you the existing experimental and research sites, which belong to the Institute of Geography and Geoecology of Mongolia. So actually, based on those sites, we can develop TDR model and establish the kind of cluster there. So my concept is like this. So here's the conclusion. TDR model endeavors to facilitate transdisciplinary research, academic exchange, and technical transfer with a distinct emphasis on understanding, synthesis, outreach, education, and information dissemination, and the creation of legacies for the future generation. And our model harnesses the wealth of knowledge and data accumulated over the sites of continuous research activities from international institutes. This invaluable information forms the basis for the large-scale experiments and in-depth contextual understanding that underpins green technological innovation and startup initiatives. Yeah, each TDR site will serve as a nexus for researchers and fostering cross-disciplinary collaboration and the development of sustainable solutions. And the TDR sites are committed to active outreach and education. We work closely with the stakeholders, educators, and general public to raise awareness and garner support for green transformation. And our commitment to making TDR data accessible and user-friendly seeks to mitigate the impact of global warming and advance adaptation process on regional and global scales. Throughout the TDR model, we envision a society where exemplary science contributors to the advancement of global environment health, productivity, and welfare, which in turn promotes the prosperity, welfare, and security of our nations. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. BATTOGTOKH. Yes, he was introduced the very big concept about how climate change impact is affecting in Mongolia and what kind of the concepts or the scientific models we can use to reducing this kind of the hazards or disasters and some of the impact of natural global warming. In this case, he was introduced about the TDR models, have this kind of the scientific models, data or information or some of the outputs can be supporting policy making or solving some of the social or the environmental problems. And also how the transferring these scientific outputs to some of this kind of the cross-sectoral cooperations or the partnerships. So this is the very appreciation for him to introducing very shortly about the Mongolian situation this time in related with the webinar topic. Thank you so much. So after the all presentation, I will be inviting or leading all the questions and answers for the two of our presenters. Therefore, I would like to invite now our second speaker, Dr. DASHTSEREN. Sorry, can you see my slides? Okay. So I would like to introduce about the Dr. DASHTSEREN. He is the member of the Future Earth Mongolian Committee and also the director of Institute of Geography and Geoecology of Mongolian Academy of Sciences. He got his PhD degree in environmental system science, especially in permafrost fields, from the Graduate School of Environmental Science of Hokkaido University. His research is more focused on permafrost, climate change, ecosystem changes, and also the directions and mapping of permafrost glaciers, water resources, water plants, and cyrogenic phenomena, and high mountain climate and environmental condition changes. So today he will give us the presentation entitled Challenges of Natural Components, Changes Through the Environmental Monitoring, Networks and Transdisciplinary Research in Mongolia. Please, Dr. DASHTSEREN, the floor is yours. Please share your slides. Please open your mic.
Can you hear me and can you see my presentation?
Yes, please do full screen.
So first of all, thank you very much for your invitation and for organizing committee to invite me to have presentation here. And good afternoon, everybody. So today I will talk about how natural components are changing in Mongolia, what kind of problems we have in relation with these phenomena. Also, I will, at the end of my presentation, I will introduce about the natural environmental monitoring network and transdisciplinary research, which is implementing by Institute of Geography and Geoecology. I think most of you know that Mongolia is located crucial zone For example, the first map shows the land surface temperature change during the last century. From here, you can see that Mongolia is located one of the hottest region in the world. So another two maps show that Mongolia is located the transitional zone between the bird forest to steppe and to desert, also, which is located just on the border of Siberian permafrost. Therefore, the environmental condition of Mongolia is very, very sensitive to any climate and human effects. So you can see some examples how disasters are becoming more extreme in Mongolia from this slide. So during the last decades, we have had many extreme weather in Mongolia. For example, in the capital, we already have many rainfalls and floodings, but while in the countryside, we have forest fire, desertification, dust storm, and off ice, and even drought too. So it is impossible to talk all those topics today. So I wish to mostly focus on global warming, permafrost and glacier decay, desertification, water storage, in shortage in Mongolia, mostly in this presentation. So previous speaker, Dr. BATTOGTOKH, says that Mongolia has the more evident climate warming. From this slide, you can see that the earth temperature is increasing everywhere in Mongolia, especially in Gobi and desert, Khinty Mountain, Dornot, and Mongolian Altai have showed the high ratio of the air temperature increase up to 2.4, while north part of Mongolia has a smaller. So if you look at the temperature increase in winter and in spring seasons, warming and cold seasons, we can see that also air temperature is increasing everywhere. For example, in the winter or cold season, air temperature increasing is higher in Altai, Hanga, and Hubskal regions, which are dominated by the high mountain regions, while it was smaller in river valleys and steppes and Gobi Desert too. And it was just opposite in the warming season. So from the observation data, we can see more evident the climate warming in Mongolia. From 1996 to 2020, mean annual air temperature in Mongolia has increased by 2.4 degrees Celsius, which is from more than 32 stations across Mongolian territory. So also there is changes in precipitation trend. For example, this slide shows the precipitation from 1980 to 2020. So you can see that in Mongolia, we have negative and positive changes in precipitation trend. For example, the central part or high mountain region, the depression have the negative trend is up to 100 millimeter, while there was the positive trend is in the north part of Mongolia, Hubskal region, and Gobi Desert region. And from this slide, you can see some the natural zones picture. And if you look at the evapotranspiration trend, at the same period, also we can see that the both trends, which is ranging from minus 230 to 50 millimeter across Mongolia. And we found that the evo4 transpiration is negative trend, has negative trend in central part of Mongolia, where we have the natural transitional shift zones. And while there was some positive trend, north part of Mongolia too. And now I want to move about the permafrost state in Mongolia. So as I told you that Mongolia is located at the edge of Siberian permafrost, and the permafrost is more occurred in the north part of Mongolia in high mountain regions too, while the south part of Mongolia is characterized by seasonally frozen ground. And the right plot, it shows the permafrost temperature from more than 20 Vrochovs, -12 and we have the warm and cold permafrost in Mongolia. Temperature of permafrost ranges from minus 3.1 to minus around 3.5 or 4 degrees Celsius. So permafrost in Mongolia is changing, and permafrost somewhere is degrading. For example, this slide shows the major 4 big mountains permafrost temperature from 1980, the late 1980 to now. All monitoring sites show that permafrost temperature is increasing. Somewhere, some site, permafrost already has degraded. For example, in Khinty Mountain, there is Khinty 36 for whole, and permafrost is melted out. And here, the ground temperature is increasing very rapidly, which leads to dry ground condition here. So this is how this slide shows how permafrost degradation going on Mongolia. So first, tubular thickness is increased, then there is thallic forms, and after that, permafrost disappears. And of course, this disappearance of permafrost is not so good for the ecosystem service, ecosystem, and the biological predators too. So if we look at how permafrost temperature is changing from 1970 to 2016, we can see more evident permafrost melt from this map. For example, in Khinty Mountains, the permafrost boundary, south of permafrost boundary moved to about 180 kilometers, while in the Khinty Mountains, Hanga Mountains, it was about 100 kilometers. So which example can show very evident permafrost disappearance in Mongolia. So now I want to talk a bit about the glacier in Mongolia. Glacier is very important natural component in the Western Mongolia, especially because in the water of the Western Mongolia usually comes from the glaciers, and the glacier contains about 10% of total water sources in Mongolia. It is also, the habitat of wild animals and flowers in this region. And you can see some example photos from this slide. And glacier in Mongolia is melting very rapidly than we thought. For example, 1910, there was one visitor from England who is Douglas Carter, and he took one of the historical photo at the Turgu Mountains. After that, we also took 2010 the same photo from the same location, and we observed a lot of changes in these mountain glaciers. Then after 10 years, also we took the same photos from the same locations, and we observed the glacier melting everywhere, even the low elevation up to the top of glacier. There were a lot of changes in glacier. And this is also a similar photo, but it was taken in Mokher Mountains, and you can see many changes. And for example, from 19 to 2010, the lower boundary of glacier moved to up by 300 kilometers, and it is lifted by 50 meters too. So this slide shows that some example how glacier is changing in Mongolia from 1988 to 22, and all glacier has shown that the area is decreasing everywhere with glacier area. And this is very sad news that you can see that, let's say, during the last 60 years, the half of glacier in Mongolia already melted out. And now we have only 360 kilometer glacier in Mongolia, but before maybe 40 years, the scientists noted it was over 700 kilometer square glacier in Mongolia. So another natural problem in Mongolia is desertification. That this slide shows the desertification, and the national scientists studied about how desertification is going in Mongolia 2006 and 2016, and they found that the desertification or land degradation was about 72% of Mongolian total territory in 2006, but 2016 it was almost 78% of total Mongolian territory. So which can say that land and desertification is going very rapidly in Mongolia. And of course, which is maybe due to climate change, as I told you before. Then there is another factor to affect it, is human related. For example, from 1970 to 2000, during this period, we had only over 20 million livestock. But by 2020, we already have 70 million, which can affect to land degradation. Also, there might be another factor that affects to the situation is mining, because it makes the amount of dust, especially in the Gobi and steppe region too. So also I wish to talk about the water resource in Mongolia. So we have about 160 kilometer cubic water resources of Mongolia, and about 98% of the total water resource is from lakes, glacier, snow, and rivers, while only 2% is from the groundwater. So scientists already determined that water resources in Mongolia is not enough. For example, in 2030, there will be some water storage shortage especially in the Gobi region. For example, in Donggo, Dorngo, and Sukhwatra Umgo province too. While 2040, there will be some well, demand, more water demand, especially in the big cities, including Tarham, Ulaanbaatar, Irtint, and other provinces too. So now I would like to introduce about the monitoring from IGG. We have very intensive monitoring sites, especially for permafrost monitoring. And now we have 80 active permafrost monitoring sites. From this slide, you can see the location of sites and the scenery of the monitorings or Mongolian territory. So every 4 hours, we are measuring the ground temperature and permafrost temperature using these monitoring protocols. Another, we have the monitoring is for the meteorological stations. Now we have almost 30 stations, which are located in the different natural zones. For example, in high mountain area, in boreal forest, steppe, desert, near glacier, and even in Great Lake Depression too. Also, we have super sites for carbon, energy, and water cycle monitoring. And but almost all of these sites are located near Ulaanbaatar city. Of course, using this site, we are now make some research on energy water cycle and carbon cycle too. So another important monitoring site is we have GNF stations in Mongolia, and which is only for precipitation, and we have hydrological monitoring sites, especially in the Western Mongolia, and groundwater monitoring also we have too in Central Mongolia.
Энд 3 минут үлдсэн байна.
Thank you. So IGG has several research station and demonstration sites, especially in Central Mongolia. The previous speaker already said some of those stations. So we have the desertification station in SUVDANTSETSEG and Korkunbolok, which is the pasture station. Also, we have the forestry station in Ulaanbaatar and Burunpolgo too. So it is evident that climate change will more strong in the future, near future. For example, in the projection says that in 2050, the sectors such as livestock, agriculture, public health, construction will have more effect by the climate change. So we have to more and more study and make the transdisciplinary research in Mongolian territory. So now I would like to quickly talk about the transdisciplinary research cases which are implemented by IGG. So first example is that we have one project. The goal is to assess vulnerability of pastoral livestock sectors to create adaptation strategy and development policy recommendations. And for this research, we IGG did scientific work. Also, we invite herders from the province to make joint study and to teach them how we can prevent the pasture Then also we invited the decision makers from the province, and all stakeholders discussed about how we can use and how we can make strategy, or how we can create development policy recommendations in this vulnerable ecosystem region, and we already completed this work. Another example is that we are also implementing combating desertification and land degradation project in Mongolia. As I told you, that this is biggest problem in Mongolia. And for this project, there are 4 stakeholders work together. In academic level, IGG, of course, there was local people and national, also we invited national company to prevent the trees and to combat the desertification. Also, the local decision makers also invited to develop how we can combat desertification in Mongolia and to find publicable method to prevent land degradation in such area. This is my conclusions, which already I talked with to you. And thank you very much for your attention. If you have some questions, I'm ready to answer it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. DASHTSEREN. Yes, he was introduced very good concept and the contents about the Mongolian conditions, how climate change and global warming is affecting the what kind of the indicators and what indicator is more vulnerable or the more affecting, and what kind of the degradations is giving the some of the negative impacts for not only environmental and also but also some social economic issues here. And also, secondly, he was introduced about some of the science-based collaborative projects, especially using the some of the multi-stakeholders participations in the some local-based research outputs to transfer in their and solving their problems. So thank you so much. And now I would like to open the floor for the question and answers. We have 10 minutes for question and answer. Please, if someone wants to ask any questions or comments, please. So you can just open your mic and please ask the questions from the speakers. Is there any questions or no? No comments?
Hello.
Hi, please.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you to the speakers for the insightful presentations. So I think that the speakers will agree that the policy coherence and integration of climate change across the policy demands and governance levels is important to combat climate change impacts. So I'm very curious how well the climate change issues integrated into the non-environmental policies in Mongolia. Probably there might be some results assessing this policy coherence and integration extents. Could you share some results? Thank you.
Okay. So I'm trying to answering her questions because as I understand, she was asked relating some policy making process, like how research involved with the policy when the relevant ministry making policy. So it's kind of duty like me. So I'm trying to answer this question. So yeah, when we making policy, we would like involve with some scientists, and of course, when we formulating some actions to the policy, it should be based on the research results, based on the science. So yeah, in Mongolia, we have different ministries with different fields. Like for the climate change, we have a new ministry. This ministry just re-established a few months ago. Before it was the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, but now changed climate change, environment, ямар нэртэй болчихлоо? Байгаль орчин, аялал жуулчлал, юу биш байгаль орчин
Environment and climate change.
Yeah.
Climate change.
Yeah, Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. So it means that the government would like more focus for the climate change, because you know, our country situation, as Dr. DASHTSEREN just introduced to you, we should consider about climate and environmental changes to the policy, even to the business. Because when we plan something, there's a lot of effect from the environmental and climate change aspects. So, yeah, this is my answer, I guess.
Thank you for your answer. But actually, the science says that policy making it could be the one of the important drivers for just policy coherence and integration. So I'm just interested how the environmental and non-environmental ministries collaborate to combat the climate change impacts. Might be there is just some this.
Yeah. Okay. As I understand, you would know what is the actions for policy actions to the environmental and climate change issues in Mongolia, right?
Yes, how they communicate or cooperate. I mean, they cross the environmental and non-environmental ministries, for example.
Okay. Yeah. For the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, I think there's a there's also a lot of implementing units or organization which is belonging directly to the Ministry of Environment, and same time they're also cooperating with some research and scientific organizations such as Institute of Geography and Geoecology. For the direct implementation organization, like maybe there's some administration unit in every province. Environmental, how to say, байгаль орчны газар гэдэг үл юу гэдэг вэ?
Environmental Protection Agency or
Yeah, there's some administration unit which is belong to the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change in province level, and also there's some steps who are like implementing environmental policy in provincial level and sub-provincial level. And this is actually like the Ministry of Environment making policy and the strategic for the long term, for the short term, and the implementation units will be proceeding and implementing those strategies in province and sub-province level. The another thing is when they are making, usually when they are making some policy and strategy, they are close working with the research institutes. And also they are using some institutes, research as well, and data when they are making policy. And also they have their own own institute. For example, we have Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, which is directly belong to the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. And also they have some experimental sites. There's also watchmen's collecting some data relating for the environmental and climate change phenomena. So there's two ways cooperating with the kind of research organization and also the implementation units in here. So actually, we are proposing TDR model is the one way solving local problems, maybe some relating for the environmental and climate issues. Some may be relating for the economic or social issues. So in countryside, when they are facing some economy or social and environmental problems, they can solve those things using our TDR model. Because the TDR model is the kind of model developed based on the transdisciplinary research concept. So our ministry, like Ministry of Economy and Development, because the main policy making in here, so our government, our ministry actually more supporting the kind of transdisciplinary research in Mongolia. So when the researchers doing some research, they must consider about how they're involving or integrating different stakeholders, such as local government or citizens or nomads, business sectors, companies could be involved to this matter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your response. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our time is limiting now. I think there is no more questions. Sorry, our organizers taking to finishing the time is limiting up. Okay, that's why I would like to finish in here, and then I would like to thank all our speakers and also all audience and participants who are participated here actively, and also the all organizers from the Asian Future Earth Committee. Thank you so much. Sophie, do you have anything?
Okay, thank you everyone for your participation today. So our upcoming webinar will happen soon. So please stay tuned, and then we will invite speakers from Future Earth Australia. So we will share agendas and also updates with all of you as soon as they're available. Thank you. So is there anything Aria or Masami-san wanna add?
We think we're good. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you. So see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.